My name is Andrew, and along with my wife Joanne, we are off to Africa tomorrow. The first leg of our journey is from Brisbane to Sydney, an overnight and then an early morning flight on Sunday, Sydney to Johannesburg for a couple of days, and then we start our true safari adventure into Botswana and further north. Purpose of the video today is just to share our tips that we've accumulated through watching lots and lots of videos on YouTube, and we thank all the contributors and content creators for their hints, places to go, things to see, activities to do, but more importantly those hints and tips about packing and what to take. So what I've decided to do is a bit of a pre-safari view of what's happened, what we're looking to do, what we're looking to take, and we'll see at the end of the video or the end of the safari how we went, whether I took enough, whether I took too much. One thing to remember is in our trip we are restricted with some light aircraft movements. In our 32-day adventure we've got about 16 flights, one of them's in a balloon, so 15 aeroplane flights ranging from the big A380 to some very small planes around the safari destination. So we're limited to 15 or 20 kilos, so packing for a month with such small luggage allowance is going to be tough. We're probably a fraction over, but we're going to do our best. The reason we're over is mainly for some photography gear. I'm very new to photography, so we're just going to see how we go with that. We'll post some stuff and see how it goes. So here I've got all of my gear laid out. On here I've got two pairs of long pants that have zip-off shorts, so they're convertible shorts and pants. They're going to be great for safari because they've got quite a tough material. I've got two pairs of trousers, long pants to wear, just for those cold nights because it will be cold. Some pairs of socks. These are some 3 long sleeve shirts, 2 for wearing safari, 1 for a little bit dressier. Some bathers, some swimming costume because we're going to do the Devil's Pool. We've got a rain jacket that we need for the gorilla trekking in Uganda, and also what we call a puffy jacket, something to keep us a bit warmer in those very early mornings. The mask is for the gorilla trekking, a scarf to keep us warm, gloves for the trekking, and a beanie obviously to keep us warm. There I've got some toiletries, a headlamp because we'll be getting up early in the morning when it's still dark, 2 short sleeve shirts, 2 sort of 1 polo, 1 t-shirt there, and a couple of pairs of shorts that I'll be wearing on the safari. I've got 1 long sleeve thin top, it's sort of more for layering for when it's cold, and here I've got 1 outer jumper, wind cheater. Here's my camera gear and electronics. So I've got a lens, camera body, a smaller lens, iPad and AirPods, glasses. In the black bag there is some cables, my GoPro, medication there, and here is the tripod that I'm taking. As I mentioned before, we're limited to soft bags only, so the Patagonia bag is I think it's a 70 litre bag. It's fairly big enough, so that's for your check luggage, and I've got a hand luggage backpack that we'll take on the safari, a hat obviously. Over here I've got the shoes, so important trekking shoes that we're going to need in the muddy in rainforest, some more comfortable walking shoes, some shoes for looking a little bit decent, and a pair of thongs. So that's pretty much everything that we're going to take. I'll do a quick pack, make sure it all fits, which I know it does, and then we'll give it away and I'll come back and put those details on the video. Okay, so we've packed the bags, so everything fits as I expected quite easily. There's plenty of room in this bag for additional room if needed. The carry-on bag's fine, hat will go on the clip, and took a hint from Jeff Hire. Good on you, Jeff. This will be what I'll be wearing on our first small flight, because when we land we'll go straight into a safari. So the sums are, the Patagonia bag is 11.5 kilos, and the carry-on bag is 5.9, so call it 6. So we're at about 18 kilos. As I said, our allowance is 15 kilos on one flight and the other one was 20. So we're going to be over on one and just under the other one. We not going to be able to buy too many souvenirs until very late in the trip when there's no more flights, but that's where we stand. So next time I'll post is when we're on the flight. Looking forward to our flights and the holiday in general. So catch you on the other side. Thank you very much. Welcome back. So the safari's been and gone. It's the start of 2026, so about 15 months ago the safari was on and finished. We had a great time, absolutely loved it. There's a couple of videos on the channel there if you want to watch. So this is the second part of the packing. So how did we go? So the bag made it back in one piece. It was very easy to use, so that was a start. Overall, I would say we did really well. There was only probably 2 or 3 items that we took that I never wore, which I'll show. This one's just a scarf. We expected it to be very cold in the mornings. It wasn't as cold as we thought. I only used it once, and that was for about half an hour when we went on the hot air balloon. So that was one thing that we didn't use. This one was similar. It's our puff jacket or puffy jacket, something to keep us warm with a bit of down in it. And again, expected to use that a lot, but we didn't need it. Only wore it for about half an hour whilst on the hot air balloon. So again, didn't really need that. And the only piece of clothing that I took that I didn't wear at all was these North Face pants. These are a bit heavier duty than the other ones that I took. They're a zip-off convertible, in other words they can be converted into shorts. The reason I took these is we had 2 gorilla treks in Uganda, expected to get very wet and dirty, which we did. The first pair of shorts that I wore, or pants that I wore, were a bit lighter and a bit more comfortable. And the camp where we stayed, Mahogany Springs, they washed them and had them back to us that night, so that was fantastic. So I didn't need these at all. They were just too heavy because it was so hot, so I didn't take them at all. On top of that, I did buy a couple of bits of clothing. One was a hat. I took a wide brim hat, but realised I did want a cap, and I was always going to buy one, so I got that from the very first place we went to, which was the Desert and Delta Safari in Okavango Delta at Camp X. And when we got to Chobe Game Park, it was stinking hot. We had 38 degrees one day in the van or in the car, so I bought myself a really nice light shirt. It's got a little bit of Chobe gear on it there, so that was just an extra shirt that I bought mainly to protect from the sun, but overall it was fantastic. So packing wise we did really good, didn't have anything extra. We were overweight, as I said. We had 15 kilos. We're a little bit over that weight, but they did weigh it. Must have come in a bit over, and they didn't care, didn't worry about it. We had lots of advice to say you always had to take a soft bag for those small planes, because there wasn't a lot of luggage space for the hard shell bags. We saw plenty of people with hard shell bags. They got away with it, but yeah, you could tell that they weren't as easy to carry around and throw into the compartments. So overall, fantastic packing job. All of our clothes came back in great condition. A lot of the camps washed every couple of days for us, so that was fantastic. We had a great safari. There was no highlight. The whole trip was a highlight. It was absolutely tremendous. Highly recommend Botswana and the Okavango Delta. Chobe was fantastic. The gorillas obviously up at Uganda was awesome. Victoria Falls was great, and the Serengeti, where we saw the Great Migration over the Mara River, that too was fantastic. So really couldn't fault the trip at all. Probably a couple of surprises just out of the trip. It's not really a trip review, but tipping we knew was an issue. If we were to go back a second time, which I think we're planning, would probably just err on a slightly lower level of tipping. I think we tipped over too high. There's stories over there that Americans tip very well, to the point where qualified doctors and nurses are taking up hospitality because the tipping is so high that they get paid more than being doctors. So just temper your tipping a bit, pay for good service obviously. What else would we do differently? We had 30 days, fantastic. Wouldn't change any of the locations. Some were better than others, but all of them were just high quality. The expertise of the guides, I think, goes a long way towards that. They really know their stuff. They really are highly trained, very dedicated. You do pay for the guides, and that's the extra bit of tipping. I think it was $20 a day per person, up to 20. We probably could have got away with $30 to be still reasonable. But yeah, it's an expensive place to visit, especially that time of year. We went high season, very expensive. It was very hot, so if you are going in September, when we went, it is very, very hot, so just be aware of that. Other than that, can't wait to get back. If anybody's got any questions about anything on the safari, I'm more than happy to try and answer those for you, so leave a question. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I've still got another video on Tanzania to put together. Hopefully get that done shortly. Thank you, bye.